Hello everyone, today I'll be discussing the home buying process in detail, step by step. So pre-contract, once you're under contract, and then valuable tips for homeowners after they've closed on their house as well. So the first stage in this process, when we talk about buying a home, really there's two parts to this. One is getting a pre-approval. So a pre-approval is basically an amount from a lender that says that, hey, this person can buy up to 200 or to 250,000 or whatever your price is. And they look at a variety of things when factoring this in. So a lender will check your debt to income ratio, they'll check your work history, they'll look at your credit score. All of those things will create a holistic profile for the lender to determine how much borrowing power you have. So that is really the first step. And this is really important because you don't want to be wasting your time looking at homes that either you can't afford or maybe lower than what you're looking for as well. So really getting a pre-approval is the first step, and talking to a realtor should be able to give you a great recommendation for a local lender. I always tell clients I prefer to work with a local lender because one, they can usually beat out the rates or fees that are offered by other larger banks. And then two, it's a lot easier to work with them, especially during the transaction process, as far as customer service goes and getting a hold of them. If you work with larger banks, larger commercial nationwide banks, for example, they have very normal business hours, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. So if you sort of need something in a pinch, it's easier to work with a local lender versus a larger bank. The second portion of the pre-contract phase is actually shopping for the home and making a decision on which home that you like. For example, I work with clients and I tell them I'll actively send you listings, and then we can sort of narrow down a short list of what you like. And then once I get more and more feedback, I'm able to refine the list more and more. And that'll give me a great idea of what kind of features and locations and all the specific details that you want ideally in a home. And then I tell clients too, if you find something that you like online as well, feel free to shoot me the address and I can always pull up more information on that listing. In addition to making a short list, so once we make our short list, that's when we can start scheduling some appointments to see the home. And the realtor you're working with should be able to make all the appointments for you, and they should make themselves accessible during nights, weekends. I tell my clients I'm available pretty much any time that houses are allowed to be shown. So if you can only see homes on the weekends, or maybe nights are better for you, I tailor my schedule towards you. And then additionally, I'll do a lot of videos, especially I work with a lot of military clients. So they are either PCSing or they're deployed overseas, for example. So I can either do recorded videos and send them if the client can't be here in person, or we can do live video walkthroughs as well. In addition, I've done things like where I've met up with a client's friend. If the client can't be here, if they're out of town, and the client's friend can see the home, friend or relative can see the home in addition to a video as well. And that sort of makes the process more comfortable as far as shopping from a distance. So once we have our home picked out, or maybe 2 or 3 homes that we're interested in making an offer on, that's when our negotiation process starts. And there's really 2 main things that you're negotiating for when you're purchasing a home. The first is, of course, the price. And then the second is closing cost. So every lender will have closing costs regardless of the loan type that you get. And sometimes these can be around 2% of the purchase price. Typically in our market, we can get a portion of these paid, if not all of them. It's been a little bit different lately with COVID-19, but really it just depends on what market you're in as far as closing cost. And then price, obviously our goal is to get you the lowest price possible. It really just depends on the home, how long it's been on the market, if there's other offers in play. All of these things really factor into what kind of offer that we're going to make. So once we've done our negotiating and now we have an accepted offer, both the buyer and the seller have signed off on our offer, then we'll be in the phase known as under contract. When you're under contract, this can take anywhere from 30 to 60 days. And we're doing a few things during this time period. The first is we're doing a home inspection. The inspection is a physical check of all the structures and systems in the property. And it's very thorough. So they'll check the roof, the foundation, electrical, plumbing, cosmetic issues, stucco, pretty much everything in the home that you can think of is on the inspector's checklist. Also, this inspection is entirely optional because it does cost money. For example, our homes, the inspection will typically cost around $200 depending on the size of the home. You don't have to do it, and I highly recommend it. And this will really let you know of any deficiencies in the home. And if there's something that's a really large deficiency, we can ask the seller to get it taken care of. Typically in Texas, we'll have what's called an option period. In this period, we'll have time to do our home inspection, and typically it's 10 to 12 days. The first 10 to 12 days, you can actually cancel your contract for any reason. Let's say there's some issue with the roof, for example, and the seller doesn't want to fix it and we just can't negotiate. We'll be able to cancel our contract and we'll get our earnest money back. The second thing we're doing during the home buying process is what's called an appraisal. An appraisal is different from an inspection in the sense that an appraisal is looking more at the value of the home. If you're getting a loan, the lender wants to make sure that you're not overpaying for the property. One, this protects you from overpaying, but two, it also protects the lender in case you are ever to default on the loan. The appraisal is actually why the process takes roughly 30 to 60 days because the appraisers typically have about 2 weeks, and sometimes it can take longer to get out there and actually evaluate the property. So this is actually why the process takes more than 30 days at times. So once the inspection and the appraisal are complete, during the whole process, you'll be working with a lender and getting them the necessary documents to approve your loan. I always tell clients during this time, it's very important not to make any significant changes with your borrowing profile. For example, don't take on any new debt without checking with a lender first. This could actually cause the whole process to fall apart. So you want to make sure that before you make any purchases, let's say on a credit card, or you make any changes to your profile, just check with your lender first and ask them if this will impact your credit or if this will impact your pre-approval. So after everything is done, now we're ready to close. We'll do a few things. We'll do a final walkthrough to make sure the home is in good condition before you close on the home. Once the final walkthrough has been complete and everything's signed off and ready to go, that's when you'll sign your closing documents. Now, if you're in town for the closing, you'll be able to go to the title company, and it'll take about 30 to 45 minutes to sign all your closing paperwork. You get a very large stack of paper, so don't feel overwhelmed. But if you're out of town, there's a couple of options. You can either do what's called a mobile notary, where they can come to you and you just have to sign in front of a notary. It's basically you're signing the same exact documents. Or you could sign them yourself if you want to schedule a notary yourself and just overnight the documents back to the title company. So just reach out to your realtor if you have any specific questions about closing, and they should be able to coordinate the best option for you. Now, there's certain fees to expect during this process, and I'll give a quick summary of these fees. The first one is what's called your earnest money. This is actually a deposit. This is credited back to you at closing. So once you have an accepted offer, you'll place your earnest money deposit down. Typically, it's $500 to $1,000 depending on the price of the home. And that's in El Paso, Texas. If you're in a different market, it could be different. Just check with your realtor. And then you'll have inspections, typically around $200. If you get a VA loan, you'll need a termite inspection, which is about $90. Again, these are optional. The termite inspection is mandatory, but the actual home inspection is optional. Then you'll have to put down what's called an appraisal deposit. Most lenders will require you to pay for the appraisal up front, and then you'll get that amount credited back to you at closing as well, just much like the earnest money. And if there's any associated closing costs in your contract, you'll need to account for those as well. That's something you'll just talk to your realtor about on a case-by-case basis. There's a few items that you'll need to take care of right as you move in and then shortly after closing as well, such as turning on utilities, making sure your home is ready to move in, things like that. So just talk to your agent after you close, and they should be able to give you a quick checklist of all the post-closing steps you need, such as getting your mailbox key, filing your homestead exemption, things like that. I hope you found this video informative. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, whether you're buying a home in El Paso, Texas, or you're looking elsewhere in another city. I can always help you or connect you with a great agent in your local area. Thank you.